I wanted to point out signs of a cult because I want people to be aware that this, again, is not just religion. You can find it at different places in society. Signs: there's an authoritarian leader. You're not allowed to question. There's isolation from the non-believers and you're ostracized. There's a lot of time and money investment, and it's not optional. Education is frowned upon, and that could be in the form of higher education, but also just putting down any kind of science or intellectual study. Don't listen to them. They're not telling you the right thing. We're telling you the right thing.
Happy new week, mental health champions. Vincent A. Lancy here, back with another show on a mental health break through LinkedIn, cold networking, trying to meet podcasters, people interested in podcasting. I came across today's awesome guest, Danielle. She's a nationally board certified positive psychology and mindfulness coach, multi-genre author, book coach, content creator, you name it. She is awesome, and she has specialty certifications in emotional intelligence, MBTI personality types, Myers-Briggs, trauma-informed coaching, metaphysical, and spiritual studies and relationship coaching. Danielle, thank you so much for joining the show.
Oh, Vincent, thank you so much for having me. I feel like I met a colleague and a friend. So thanks for reaching out.
Likewise, everyone, that cold networking doesn't sound fun, and there aren't great odds with it in the world of spam and overselling, but sometimes you get to make a great connection, and that's what we're going to dive into today. Here are some areas she's going to talk about. In addition to previously teaching yoga, journaling, and meditation for 18 years, we're going to talk about cult mentality, power of positivity, why be mindful, relationships, so much more. I want to start here, like I do with my guest. Danielle, what brought you to the show? Share your mental health journey from wherever you feel comfortable.
Okay, well, today I brought a special topic because I'm noticing it come up a lot more and more with not only coaching clients, but with people I know and meet in everyday life. So in general, just very briefly about me, you gave a great bio. I spend about half my time as a coach, a mental health coach, working on mindfulness and relationships and all that good stuff. And then on the other side, I'm a content creator, so I create audio, video content, educational programming, voiceover work, and I moonlight as a fiction and nonfiction author. So what brought me today was a particular topic. It's the cult mentality because I grew up in a cult. Not everybody knows that, but I think it's something important to talk about, particularly since I'm seeing it more and more often in the conversations I'm having with people.
You can't leave us hanging there. Let's keep diving into that. Tell us about it.
All right. I'm going to get into some of the specifics of what you can look for in a cult and how it affects people in general. I've got a lot of bullet points to throw at you,
Let's hear it.
but I will tell you that it's quite a bit different in my case than what you see on like Netflix. We didn't live in a commune. We were not, they were not with armed guards and us wearing robes. We were integrated in society. We went to work and went to school. However, everything was dictated: what you eat, who you interacted with, who you married, your role, particularly as a woman. You're not going to college, you're getting married, you're having babies. That's your choice. And I left when I was almost 19. And I wanted to talk actually about the fallout of leaving because it's very strange when you're isolated in that cult. It's everything in the family stays in the family. So even my friends outside kind of knew I was weird, but I couldn't talk too much about what was going on. But it was embarrassing. At first, I was ashamed of it. Like, okay, how are you going to tell people you grew up in a cult when they ask questions about your childhood and you have no frame of reference? Like everyone's like talking about their birthdays and Christmas, and I'm like, I got nothing. It comes out. And so it's a little embarrassing. And I think the biggest fallout is the lack of self-worth, lack of self-confidence, poor decision making because all your decisions were made for you, and a lot of stress because they're telling you basically from the time I was born, you're going to die. There's going to be a tribulation. There's a good chance Satan's going to kill you. And if not, it's going to be the world. The world is an unsafe place. So I think I entered the world at 19, probably with as much understanding self and social awareness. I know you talk a lot about emotional intelligence in your podcast. I would say maybe I was 12, like I was really behind the curve. Let's just say that.
Well, you've certainly caught up and you've gotten out there. What is your favorite part in the mental health coaching process? I'm sure as you start making some headway with your clients, it's a whole different conversation than the beginning. Inspire some future mental health coaches out there.
I will say it's rare that somebody comes to me and says, well, I grew up in a cult. They might say, I grew up in a strict religion. And they start saying things, and I know the signs. But beyond that, I think it's important for people to understand that that cult mentality or that mindset can be found across the board. It can be in family cults, it could be in politics, it could be in a work environment, it could be in culture. By the time people get to me, they're like, they might have been told from the time they were a kid, you're not good looking enough. Oh, you're not smart enough. You can't do that. They grew up in a narcissistic family with parents telling them, manipulating them so they don't know what to believe. I'm seeing that those same signs that I went through in other people, whether they grew up in the same environment or not. I'm going to get to, if you don't mind, at some point, the bullet points. You want me to just dive in? Okay,
Yeah,
so
whatever you're on your mind, let's hear it. You're doing a great job.
the first thing, I'm going to get into how a cult impacts people, but I would like to circle back, if we could, on the signs of a cult, because a lot of times people get pulled in and they don't realize what's happening. This affects everyone, men and women. It tends to affect women a little more because cults tend to be patriarchal and the roles of women are more defined, but both genders are affected. I would say some of the top 10, right? Poor self-worth and self-confidence. So we fear making decisions because we've never been able to make our own decisions. We become perfectionists at everything we do because there's always the I want to feel good enough. And when I say it shows up in work, it shows up in subtle ways like you're under earning, you're not charging what you're worth. You're working 20 hours overtime and not getting paid for it. The boss is saying, well, you have to be a team player and pay your dues like everybody else. And they kind of gaslight you like, you're never good enough. So let's keep working harder. So this shows up in family. It could be, what do you mean you're going to go become a lawyer? We think you should become a nurse or a teacher and you should have 6 children because we want grandbabies. Like it shows up in so many ways. Number two, it shows up as PTSD and trauma for people who were emotionally or physically abused or manipulated. There's a lack of identity. Like if I don't belong to this church or to this group and I'm now ostracized, like who the heck am I outside? Can be a very lonely place. There's trust issues because we're told, right? In my case, you're gonna die. So it's like there's a lot of trust and safety issues about the world, a lot of stress and anxiety. I myself never had depression. I just think I'm just naturally like assume everything's going to be okay and look on the bright side. But I will tell you, I had nightmares into my adulthood about the tribulation and the end of the world and war because I was told that from the time I was born. So lack of sleep is not good for a person, let's just say. Number six, poor relationships. You develop really bad attachment styles in relationships, personally and professionally. So, and we're not great at setting that, or I am now, but initially not great at setting boundaries because you don't get to set your own boundaries. They're decided for you. Integrating into society and the life skills we're lacking. And one in particular that's important is the understanding of money. Because in my cult, we got to 10 to 30% of our income. And don't spend the money going out here to college, spend it on our resources, spend it helping save other people. So I had to learn how to spend money correctly and save money. And the biggest thing is rewiring those patterns of thought, because even though you know 100% what you are told is not true, when you're out in the world and the opposite comes at you, you have these like knee-jerk triggers that you have to kind of undo and redo. So that was a mouthful. Thank you for letting me get all of that out, Vincent. I'll take a pause.
I think it's great because I want to let you go on your role because it's all information that other people may not have. I want to educate people on this show, and now it's all shaped you into the great work you're doing. Super passionate about it because we can see you through the screen here now. Everyone, be sure to stick around to the end of the show. You're going to find out how to get in touch with her, add her to your network. But I'm not done with some talking points for her today. She has a lot she can bring to the table. So something else I want to discuss now is what are some recovery tools that people can utilize to lead an emotionally balanced and healthy life?
Number one, talk to someone. When I left, everything was secretive. It didn't even occur to me to go out to reach out to a therapist. It didn't occur to me that I had the money or resources. Like, I don't have the money for that, or what would I tell them? So I would say absolutely talk to a therapist. If that makes you uncomfortable, talk to a coach such as myself who's been through it, who can guide you. And if that's too much, gather some trusted friends around who are on the outside, not in a cult, trusted friends to connect with. Because why did my parents and other people join cults? They want a sense of being special and important. They want a purpose, and they want to feel like they belong. So if you can get that from your friendships where you belong and you're supported, and they could be a sounding board when something sounds a little off, best thing you can do is good social connection and talking to a coach or a therapist. I 100% suggest developing a meditation or mindfulness practice for the stress, the emotional regulation, for the decision making, because our executive functioning is better when we take the pause and let the emotions settle. And then continue to seek out those resources on emotional intelligence, self-help books, journaling, anything you can do to help you process. People who come to me, I happen to be a writer, but if they come to me and they don't want to journal or write, I might give them an art or collage project or a music project, using art in a creative way just to get it out of your head and on paper so that you can look and kind of process. And above all, just be kind to yourself, because the least helpful thing that people can tell you is just get over it. The worst advice, because you are going to come out on the other side, you're going to move through it, and you're going to find some joy in it. I happen to be a very, maybe it's gallows humor, sometimes it's dark humor, but I think everything is hysterical. I find I have a story. I don't know if you want me to tell it, but when the hurricane was coming through, but I just think that finding humor and laughter is a really important outlet when you can, because that positive thinking, not only does it lead to better mental health, but better physical outcomes. And we live 7.5 years longer, according to research, if we're more positive. So looking at the positive side is kind of the way to go.
Thank you for sharing all that. And I love the positivity in general that you're bringing to the show. It's been a lot of fun. Still have a few more things I want to talk to you about. I know that you also have some books. We're going to be talking about those books over on Writing with Authors. Let's show a little love to those and how they relate to mental health.
Oh, okay, wonderful. I've got 9 that are done and about 5 more in progress at various stages. I have the Data Collectors, a sci-fi trilogy. I have the Music Mystery Series, cozy mystery series with a lot of comedy and romance in it. I have a workbook which does directly tie to what we're talking about, the I Am Enough workbook, that gives tools for building emotional intelligence, that gives mindful tools for finding out your strengths, your values, and developing that self-worth. And I have 2 kids yoga books because I am a former yoga teacher, teaching some of the mindfulness tools, teaching things around culture, because every book takes place in a different location. And it also gives kids just how to be a good person, tips in there as well. Where this all, even the fiction, ties into mental health, not just is it good for my own mental health to write and be creative and get out of the world for a little bit, but as you'll find when we talk next time about more about books, I have a lot of social themes in there. And in fact, in the last Cozy Mystery series, it does revolve around a cult. And I give some of these messages, but it's disguised in the form of entertainment. So that you let people know, but you're not hopefully beating them over the head with it.
I love it. Well, you can beat me over the head with this information all the time. It's been absolutely great. The final thing I have to ask you is if you can give advice to one person who's struggling right now, some words of wisdom to help them get through the day, what would it be?
I would say the way that you feel right now is not going to be the way that you feel forever. And I can tell people, I've looked at people and I've said, I've been where you are. I felt what you felt, not obviously not 100% in the same way. And having come out the other side, I promise you it's better. And I will say one thing, one positive thing that comes out of my upbringing is I look at the world like a kid at Disney World every single day. Like there was an event I went to with my friends and they had like this little albino alligator and the kids were holding it and they're like, Danielle, do you want to hold it? And I was giddier than any of the kids there because everything is new and fresh. You take nothing for granted. You have a great deal of gratitude. Just try to understand that you can move through it. I wanted to point out signs of a cult because I want people to be aware that this, again, is not just religion. You can find it at different places in society. Signs, there's an authoritarian leader. You're not allowed to question. There's isolation from the non-believers and you're ostracized. There's a lot of time and money investment, and it's not optional. Education is frowned upon, and that could be in the form of higher education, but also just putting down any kind of science or intellectual study. Don't listen to them. They're not telling you the right thing. We're telling you the right thing. Anything that tells you how to dress, your behaviors, who you could marry. We couldn't marry anyone outside of our religion, or there was no interracial marriage. Everything was just like, so your pool was limited, let's just say. A lot of fear tactics, right? You're unsafe. If you leave, the world's going to get you, Satan's going to get you. There's a lot of the us against them mentality. If you succeed at anything, that's God working through you. If you fail, it's because you're a sinner. A really big one, there's just two more, is the love bombing, right? You feel bad about yourself. We love you. We're so glad you're here. But as soon as you're like, I just won this marathon, oh, that's pride. Who do you think you are? And in some cases, some of that propaganda, again, like we have a direct line to God. Those people are the fake churches, the fake this, the fake that, but listen to us. That was a mouthful. Vincent, thank you.
Hey, well, it's not a bad way to end the show after some wonderful advice. Now, after some wonderful advice, you give us more information on your expertise areas that you've had experiences in, because everyone out there, you are not alone. If someone's been through experience, they may not have been the same thing, same experience, but they may have been through something similar. Please reach out to her if you need her. Where's the best way to find you?
My website, daniellepalli.com. And you'll put this, I assume, in the description of the podcast, but just in case, DANIELLEPALLI at daniellepalli.com.
Thank you for sharing that, everyone. Be sure to go show her some love and say hello. Please check out the show on any podcast platform each and every week and leave a 5-star review if you enjoyed our conversation today. I am at Vincent A. Lancy, and my website is vincentalancy.com. And this show sponsor this week is Coming Alive Podcast Production, your one-stop shop for podcasting. Head to the link in bio to learn more. And with that, we're signing off here today. Danielle, great to see you, and thank you so much.
Thank you.